Hello, hello! We're just getting right back into things, and we immediately have the same bans, with the exception of Silas being taken off the table, once again from INT,
Kindred removal.
Yeah.
Just a quick reminder for everybody. Just in case you just tuned in for some reason, you tuning in very late to what has been actually very entertaining set. Quick lock-in. This is game 3. This decides who goes to winner side, who goes to loser side. Of course, this is a double elim bracket. So this is going to be the last we see of either of these teams, but it is going to heavily affect their play, like who they're going to be playing against.
And
Falcon,
also
because
of that, we've seen some really controlling games. Like, we haven't really been seeing any comebacks.
Got close.
Yeah, got close, but Falcon, they're gonna. It seems like they're gearing towards the early game composition. INT have a really good first pick. I love the Seraphine pickup because you can still flex it to mid, you can flex it to bot. Technically, you can flex it to top. I wouldn't really do that in this meta, though.
I miss on the top.
I do not. I'm much happier not having to deal with that.
The Cog
The Cog, once again. Now, we saw Cog being picked up as the tank Cog last game, which, honestly, I don't know if tank Cog really would have done more than normal damage Cog, but, it won, largely in parts of the Kindred. So that's a Seraphine, Karma, and Cog. So it feels like a Juggernaut comp already.
I was going to say, it definitely feels like a composition that wants to be revolved around one individual carry. And whether that's going to be Juggernaut, like you said, or whether that's going to be a full damage Maw, I still have a preference. I'd much rather see the high damage Cog, but I really like that damage dealing pick. But, we'll have to see. Obviously, a lot of engage so far from Falcon. Just on those 2 picks alone, Volibear really likes to force his way in. We see the Vygar pickup again.
The Vygar pickup, interesting.
Yeah, it must just be a comfort pick. Worked really well the last time. Just kind of out-farmed Xerath and just did way more damage.
And if I'm INT here, I ban set 100% of the time.
Absolutely.
Right now, what Falcon needs is they need to pick up a set, and they need to remove all of INT's frontline. And if INT's not drafting frontline with a Juggernaut composition, I have no idea what they're doing.
See that Draven get removed now. They weren't going to go for that Draven Maokai, so maybe that wasn't on the table, but it has been scary.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see that one reacted.
They're finally getting rid of the Draven. They have to ban set here. If they do not ban set here, they are literally throwing.
Yeah, it's a scary situation to just not be taking that very, very obvious option away. But yeah, no, we see the Shen. And are we going to see that set ban? Are they on the same train of thinking? Or maybe they're working somewhere else with it. Obviously, still have room to go in that top lane for the set, so it is still very much possible. We've seen it support if we want to go Nautilus jungle. It did get buffed. I don't know that it's good, but it did get buffed. So there's still a lot of room on the table here. We see Ezreal taken away. I don't know if that's like his backup pick. Obviously, we've only seen the Draven from Beshi so far, and he has been stomping the games that even the games that didn't win. He was like the sole kind of driving force behind he was the wind behind the sails of his team in those situations, like just kind of pushing them forward, keeping them in it.
So there's the Kai'Sa. So I'm expecting to see two tanks here. Like, I'm guessing like Udi or Ornn, something like that.
Or maybe we're gonna see like Ornn Janna. We need some sort of disengage here. I feel like there's so much dive from FEC. That Kai'Sa also being able to get onto the backline. There's any CC anywhere near Kog'Maw, suddenly you have invisible Kai'Sa diving into the backline. Renekton.
Interesting.
One of these things is not like the other. Going for an early game pickup, if they are going to lock that. Don't know.
Seems
I mean,
like it.
That is blind, isn't it?
Yes.
We don't know if that.
One of the big things here, though, is that if you're locking in Renekton, that means that it's really hard for FEC to lock in set.
Yeah.
Which
is a good way to deal with it.
That is one way to deal with it. I don't know if INT can really rely on Renekton to, tank up in the front line.
Yeah, because
they need to have a dive buddy with Renekton if they're doing this.
Yeah, the position that Renekton really is going to actually be effectively tanky is when he's still pumping out a lot of damage. His lifesteal is still most of his HP. And that stage in the game, there's the Sejuani lock-in to maybe kind of bloody the dive there. Kind of a piston movement here with the big engage.
I mean, with
difficult.
Seraphine
Ooh.
Karma, they should be getting, you know, a Moon Staff on someone.
Ooh.
The Urgot pickup. If this Urgot gets ahead,
Yone?
okay.
Yeah, no, they were looking at Camille for a little bit. They were still rotating through a couple of the Irelia. Don't get too excited yet.
Do not.
The
For the love of all
Jax.
things good and holy.
Gwen, trying to get us excited here. Looking at a couple of top lane pickups, see what it actually is going to work out to be. A Kali locked. This is very much protect the Kog'Maw versus kill the Kog'Maw. And I don't know if this is going to be Jugger Cog or if this is going to be the full damage Cog, but either way, I know that there's one champion that we're going to be staring at for most of these fights, most of this laning phase, and most of this game, and that is going to be on that Kog'Maw. Now, execution in the trees has been really good so far. I think they should be able to actually zone them off with this. They have a nice composition for it. Sejuani actually does shut down these things pretty nicely. I would have to go with that. Also, Seraphine is broken.
Yeah, and like, it's Seraphine versus Veigar. Veigar is not going to ever pressure Seraphine, and while yes, Veigar gets to scale up, that does not matter for this composition.
Nope.
All right, so we'll see how it works out on the Rift though.
It's, you know, I think that the scaling from Veigar obviously does matter. Is going to be able to deal a lot of damage.
Campbell Basil has items.
This is immediate improvement from previous, and big rotation down in the bot lane. We've seen standard invade thread, lots of pings on that side. Kog'Maw is going to be going into that tri-bush. That is who they're going to be meeting there. Now, how is Kenny going to position himself? Is he going to see this coming? Look at this defensive stance immediately from Kenny. Not willing to risk walking up here. The Falcon kind of inching towards this bush. Now Kenny, a very, very safe position. I like that they have a read on this as Kenny starts to inch his way forward. There's the Nautilus hook available. We're going to see the flash over the wall. No. Going to be chasing forward. Flash failed there from Haps. Does hit the hook though. Are we going to see the flash out from Kog'Maw? We don't want to see any more flash burns here if we don't have to. There's the flash burn from Kog'Maw. That is honestly mission accomplished. Because now that Kog'Maw's vulnerable for the next probably, if I had to guess, 4 minutes 40. I'm trying to think of where Cosmic Insight puts you. But I have to imagine it's Cosmic Insight on the Cog unless we saw. I know he took Taste of Blood last game, didn't he? So maybe not. Could be the full 5 minutes, but either way, very vulnerable Kog'Maw.
Yeah, like, and especially with Volibear, they absolutely have to be gunning for Cog here.
Yeah, and that's Flash is still up on the volley, so must be looking at a kill at some point in that bot lane. We have to see a lot of attention put down there, a lot of attention from both teams, just trying to make sure, you know, don't lose track of where that Volibear is. At the moment, looks like volley has started on the bot side, but Paytime getting late to lane as well. I'm not certain. But we have seen these junglers like just kind of avoid each other, starting opposite sides. I have to imagine that it's going to be 2 or 3 camps of quick engage onto the Karma there. Now Haps is going to take the poke in the other direction, walking back into that bush. But here's the thing. Kog'Maw into Kai'Sa.
Boy.
Not actually as, like, when you think Kai'Sa, relatively lane bully, she kind of spikes on 2 items, but you know, she can hold her own in some lanes, especially when she has the CC, proc that passive, get a lot of damage down, quick engages with the Hail of Blades, as we're looking at right now. But generally, Kog'Maw beats Kai'Sa because of this right here. That measly 525 range. Kog'Maw just gets to hit her back, and there's nothing she can do, but she can't walk forward to deal with it because if she tries to run up, then she's got to burn E to get that closing distance. You just see the damage that's going to come down repeatedly, and I feel like they have counterpicked themselves here a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, Kenny is... Like, Kenny has been getting outplayed by Beshi in this series. But as long as they're playing the lane correctly, in the immortal words of ASIM, Cog Kai'Sa is, like, unplayably bad.
Yeah, it's very, very bad.
Yeah, like, there's so little that they should be able to do in this lane, unless they can get the engage. And, you know, Haps is looking for it.
There's no engage when you have no HP.
Yeah.
Just looking problematic across the board now. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of a 2v2 up in this situation. A quick rotation. Looks like Camel Basil maybe wanted to walk over the Scuttle Crab ahead of time. Looks like they are aware, though, that the Sejuani of Delta is already there. Wild. Going to contest it now. We're going to see big rotations from either side. Bloodbath over the Crab. Looks like it's just going to be taken by Delta and dashed over the wall. Now it's going to be a race down to the bot side for the next one.
Yeah, you know, probably very happy to just keep on farming this up. Well, yes, Renekton is here as a deterrent for the set. Renekton doesn't actually have to do much in terms of getting ahead in this game. He just has to exist.
Indeed.
Because if you have Seraphine and Karma pumping shields into him, he's going to be as effective of a tank as needed for a Kog'Maw.
Yeah. And again, you have the Sejuani to go alongside that. There's CC. It's mainly just they have a lot of CC. They can use that Renekton W, just get off, whoever is trying to get on that Kog'Maw, whether it's the Akali, have the second to burst. That's all you really need. You just need that split second. If this is a full damage Cog, which, hard to know right now, just go into the boots. But if this is a full damage Cog, that's enough time to kill her. That's enough time to kill just about anybody.
Yeah,
that,
also,
laser beam.
Just a little correction from earlier. Juggernaut is referring to the type of composition, where, it's more people protecting the Kog'Maw, not the Kog'Maw build. Tank Maw is the tank Cog build.
Oh, okay. I take full blame for that one. That's,
yeah. So this feels like a Juggernaut comp.
Yes. Okay, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you on that one. That feels
really
like Kog'Maw should be dealing damage.
I hope it's a damage Cog.
Yes, I would be. I was kind of concerned that we were going to be looking at the tank Cog build because it just doesn't seem like they would have enough damage in that case. But this situation, if they have the team composition built up for Kog'Maw dealing the damage that he can do and he's capable of doing, he's not going to run into any problems taking about anybody on this team. A little bit of CC is probably going to be his only issue.
Yeah, the only person on this team who could potentially do anything to him is if Akali gets massively ahead, or if Kai'Sa somehow gets massively ahead.
Yeah,
because if Nautilus ults Cog, and then Kai'Sa just ults in and one-shots the Cog, yeah, sure, that's going to be scary. But if you're already behind in Cog Kai'Sa, I think you have other problems.
And you know what? I don't think we've seen this advantage taken fully. It was not Cosmic Insight on the Kog'Maw, but the Flash is about to come back up, and Volley is not close enough. In fact, Sejuani is the first one to make a move into this bot lane.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, bot lane going to be pivotal to this game. Obviously, if we're in a meta that ADCs matter a lot, we're going to see this attempted engage from Broccoli. And that actually starts to matter a lot. The ulti is popped. Oh, Broccoli just popping the flash a little bit early. That is going to be a perfect execution. Solo kill from Paytime.
Yeah, and
we do see the engagement. The 3v3 in the bot lane goes down half Delta. Getting the kill, and then I guess just snowballing that. We'll have to see what happened. It looks like TP from Evolved Noob or something like that. We saw the walk-in from the Sejuani. We see this engage on the top side. Mm-hmm. Great solo kill from Paytime, first of all. Just gauging the level up here. Taking the trade immediately. Obviously, Broccoli goes for the engage, doesn't catch the level up. And now that he's seen the level up, it's already problem solved. Now, halves. Did he land a hook on the Karma? What happened here? Obviously, they don't have vision. The Volibear coming down, so maybe initiating. There's the flash engage. And surprise, Sejuani was already in the bush. Now, maybe a little bit of a wasted TP, actually, looking at it now from Evolved Noob. Maybe didn't need to find his way down there, but he's going to be walking his way back to mid lane, or are they going to try and go for turret lanes here? I don't know.
Yeah, either way.
Looks like he's going to be going back to mid.
They're absolutely getting that dragon. That dragon should be free.
Yeah.
Broccoli doesn't have any sums. Which, right now, not too much of a problem. He's level 6, shouldn't be dying solo again, not until after Paytime backs. And Wild didn't look to make something happen on top. But Sejuani Renekton, still a very scary composition to 2v2 and 2. So this could get... this could be an inconsequential solo kill, or it could end up meaning the rest of the laning phase, who knows.
It looks like Broccoli's still feeling very confident in this top lane. Popping the ulti, that's kind of safety net that we were just talking about him having.
Yeah, it's an early recall
now from the Akali, and that's it.
It's an early dominus from Broccoli, which honestly not ideal. Paytime getting that dominus out with TP up is very, very good for him.
Yeah. No, and it's just going to come back to lane, have that pressure. It's got that leashing layer done. And we see the engage on the bot side. Now we see that Volibear coming in. We do have the flash. Great flash. Just get away from that stun and actually burning it. Now that's that. Now they get to kind of chase this Nautilus back. It's not overextend. And Kenny, obviously, no sums, but that's why you have him. Stay alive from stuff like that. You got to stall it for another 5 minutes, but that's still farm and assist on the Kog'Maw without being punished.
Yeah, and I really hope to see not a wit's end.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to be going into damage here. No express indication of where that build's going quite yet. We can, I mean, like, that doesn't necessarily...
Even with a wit's end, it could technically be still damage.
Maybe that isn't what we think it is, but that's so low. That electrocute on that auto attack ringing really low, but now we see this solo coming up from the Sejuani. Is this actually going to be enough damage to bring down the Vanguard through the nullifying orb? No. very close on both of them, but no flash burnt on to Camel Basil, and he's still got his TP up, so he's going to be able to TP straight back to lane. There's no TP onto Evolve Noob. There's no flash. And
and
you
that's
have
a
an advantage all of a
Verdant
sudden.
barrier. And that's a Verdant barrier on Evolved Noob, so it's gonna pick up some early MR.
Yeah,
Not
he's still got the ulti.
too certain. If I necessarily agree, I feel like you should just be grabbing, like some mythic components here, because you're planning on just farming up. Like getting the early mana is pretty important. But Kenny is just gonna keep on farming up into Beshi. And while their trading has been really good, Kenny's honestly not up that much CS.
No,
Actually, he's
not at all.
down.
for how much pressure they've been on, like you really want to see Kog'Maw applying as much pressure as he safely can. Obviously, can't walk too far forward. You got the Nautilus there, but just doing this, exactly this, just applying damage. I'd like to see more damage onto that Nautilus, making it a bit scary to engage. But then you can't be doing that and missing too much CS. We do see a fight in the top lane. Paytime, I don't believe is going to use that perfect execution just yet. We do see the Dominus is up. We do see Volibear's in.
But here comes the Stormbringer.
Tower dive incoming. There's the Stormbringer. Now Tower, of course, is charging up. Is there going to be the Dominus popped? Yes, not enough regen.
Oh boy.
Both's going to get out basically unscathed. What do you do in that top lane? Crocodile Leather is about the only thing available. And Delta just there too late.
Yeah, and honestly, right now, INT in a really good position. But if the game keeps on going on as it's been going, it's not going to be a very good position for long. If they continue to scale up, it's fine. If they just let Falcon kill Broccoli on repeat, that this is going to get worse and worse.
Yeah, and you were saying that the one way to really shut down the Kog'Maw, is that Akali getting ahead. And 2 kills is enough for Akali to start snowballing. Slight CS lead, that's kind of impressive into Renekton. She's even with the Kog'Maw right now, but she's up 2 kills. And, it's obviously going to be more than just these 2 1v1ing. There's going to be more to it. But the threat of that Akali being there is going to make it so difficult for Kenny and his goon squad to really get anything done that they really want to happen. Because you have to be constantly worried about that. You got to be worried about the Volibear engage. You got to be worried about the Nautilus ulti. That stuff's targeted. And if you have to be worried about that type of engage and then also keep track of the invisible tiny little assassin that's jumping all over the place, that's hard to execute. That is not easy.
Yeah, and
I was praising it earlier, but it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah, and from what it seems, Kenny is in fact opting for the tank cog build. I do not agree.
No. This seems like a situation where it's maybe a bit unwanted, but that one's up to Kenny and his team. Who knows? Maybe, in all fairness, I have no idea how much damage it does. He's facing a lot of dive this game. Maybe we're going to see a more damage-heavy build on the Seraphine. Maybe that'll start to make up for things. But I really feel like they're putting a lot of faith in that build to pick it so early. And I don't feel like it did as much as they're really looking for this game. Now,
Dominus
we have another flank position. Good engage there immediately from the Sejuani, getting the 2 of them later on the backline.
Oh, Kenny's not able to play the game.
Immediately getting assassinated by the Akali. Want to get the passive blow up. Viger getting chased out of the pit, and we have a big...
Great shutdown.
Yeah, very focused on that. But meanwhile, in the backline, we have the Gator just running over the fight. Brilliant engage. We see Broccoli just running over everybody in there. This massive Renekton at this point in the game. Like, he's not ahead. You were saying he doesn't need to get ahead. He's just Renekton at this point. Renekton has those base numbers, has that base regen, and has all of Falcon sent back to their base.
Yeah, and with, Renekton having Karma and Seraphine to pump heals and shields into him, he's about as tanky as he needs to be. He doesn't need to be any more tanky.
No, I'm sure Kenny felt a little bit left out to dry there, but Dragon goes in their favor, Fight goes in their favor, and Renekton's back online in a very serious way. And that wasn't a kill for Kenny onto the Akali, I'm pretty sure, so he got the shutdown there, so that's a decent gold swing.
Yeah,
only about 300, but
yeah, it's a decent gold swing. Unfortunately, it is in fact going into the wit's end, and most of the damage that he's taking in these early fights are not going to be magic damage. Um,
uh-oh.
oh, oh boy.
In case if the map is dark, that is going to be Kenny going down. No real option for him to deal with anything there. Just unaware. You can see almost no words down on the map. Kog'Maw has more range than this, so you don't need to be standing this close.
Mhm.
Just kind of, like maybe showing signs of fatigue right now. Execution, just making a silly mistake that you don't need to be making. We're in game 3. These guys have probably been stressed out for every game they've been playing. You go down immediately, you're always on the edge for all of these games, especially you're down as early as they were. They've always felt like even in the game that they were winning, there's still a bit of a comeback. They really haven't had a mental break, and it's showing.
Yeah, especially because going into the lower bracket is incredibly scary right now. Like Delta's just gonna pick up halves. But like if you end up going into the lower bracket right now, you're gonna have to fight Yubi. So both of these teams, neither one wants to go to the lower bracket in the slightest. But yeah, like getting these small picks here and there is gonna mean a lot.
And continually being able to put that Kog'Maw behind is something that they need to focus on, because there's no damage other than that. You can time out the Renekton. Renekton is going to continue to be on the clock. He's 2-2 right now. That means he's probably got about 7 minutes left of like raw effectiveness. Obviously, still going to mean something after that, but he's not going to be that dominating force that they really need him to be.
He's not going to be the early game like power god that Renekton is as a champion, but he's still going to exist.
Yeah.
It's just a question as to like how much he can.
He's not going to be a full team's worth of damage past that point, and that's what they really need right now, because they're going a lower damage Kog'Maw build. Their Kog'Maw is behind. The Seraphine is, doing well, but going support. Right? Karma doing well, going support. So this is their damage source right now in that top lane. It's all on the shoulders of Broccoli, and he doesn't have enough time to do this yet. There needs to be a big win somewhere, I feel like, for In the Trees before they can really feel comfortable with these fights.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. The Karma Seraphine Cog, really good combo. I just don't know about this tank build here.
Yeah, I guess we haven't really seen it tested yet. It's definitely possible. I hadn't heard of it. Well, I had heard of it, but just hadn't seen it in use, hadn't seen the build. And I don't know. It's
played it once.
Yeah?
Yeah. I didn't finish it.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't feel like it's somewhere that you want to be right now. I'm questioning decision making. But hey, you know what? I'm willing to bet that because they're bringing it out here in a game 3 situation where you either play Yubi or you play the team that beat Yubi, which is honestly, a bit of a coin flip. This is something that they're putting their faith in. They want to be in that situation where they don't have to spend their one loss that they get for the tournament right here. They want this to be a series that they can win, they can put behind them, take a deep breath, learn from it, move on. Yeah. So they're clearly putting a lot of faith in this Kog'Maw.
Also coming up.
Yeah, putting some faith in this top lane gank. Not going to happen.
Yeah, Renekton Sejuani very strong at 2v2. For actually ganking the Akali, gonna be kind of rough because Shroud just negates so much of what makes that combo so good.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I see Renekton Akali. I was kind of expecting this to be very one-sided in favor of Broccoli. The fact that Paytime has done so much with it in that lane, has an XP advantage right now, has a gold advantage, I believe. Is he upplating? Might be upplating. I didn't keep track of that too well, but it's just the fact that he's not only close, but might be in a lead right now. Really unexpected for me. So the Herald does get dropped mid lane by Wild West.
Right,
also, great game from Wild West so far in comparison to a previous game. Just didn't feel like he knew what he was doing. The execution on this volley burst has been really good. We've seen both of the junglers hit some low points and really recover for them. And both playing very well right now.
Yeah, and Slop's just gonna get some damage down.
Slop Debeshi, which means something.
Yeah, Slop's on this Karma feels like they're just doing whatever it is that they really want. Regardless of whether or not Kenny's in the area.
Okay, flanking TP right now from Broccoli. Now, have they caught it? They're disengaging from the dragon. They're moving right into him. Delta gets the ulti down. The Seraphine ulti gets wasted, and we see Kali going into the backline. Looks like the Karma goes down immediately, and we see the dive immediately onto the Kog'Maw. There's nothing that he can really do about it. Evolved Noob now next to the target, and we see Dragon completely left alone. Broccoli has managed to chase off the backline.
Oh my god.
Delta snagging both kills out of nowhere, and all of a sudden Broccoli chasing down that little Vigor, just hopping away desperately, trying to put him in the box, gets the auto attack, gets the Gore Drinker to finish it off. And that fight went as badly as INT could have really foreseen it going, and they turned with it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they fought within that window that I gave Renekton to be effective, and he clearly still is. But you know, that Sejuani's huge now.
Yeah, I mean, Sedge dives into the backline with the ulti, and still, I think Noob.
She has going down there to Beshi out of nowhere. Surprise Kai'Sa attack, and that is a kill that Beshi really wants right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, Delta's like going in with the Seraphine ulti behind them. It did actually tag Delta and get extended. Is just because it started in the river, the animation's kind of wonky and it went like underneath the floor.
Oh, it did. Okay.
So the charm did go through. The fact that you can have frontliners running in like this to extend the Seraphine ultimate is so monumental. And this Cog is just going to continue to farm up, continue to get items. I still don't necessarily agree with the current pick of items, but we'll see how much...
We can argue about that all night. It's about how well he uses it, you know?
Yeah, like, exactly.
If he's going to be able to put it to good use at this point, I think that, you know, it's something they have confidence with, clearly. It did fine in laning phase. It's doing, you know... It could be doing better now, but, you know, if they can make it scale, if they can make it work, Kog'Maw's going to be really hard to kill. Right, and if they can keep that Kog'Maw alive for a long time through the assassination attempts from every way, you know, they still have a damage threat there, right? That's something that they wouldn't have had if they have the damage going down. Maybe that's the mindset that they have. Maybe they really want to keep this Kog'Maw alive for that reason. Now, right now, Broccoli and Delta just thwarting off the entirety of Falcon. Paytime now. I don't think he can win that. I think that's a big croc right now.
Walk right past.
I think that Crocodile has extended his timer for another 2 minutes. It's still very, very scary. And definitely proving that, with just a little engaged there on Paytime. Now, will Paytime Lee Syndrome? No, surely not. Push coming into the mid lane.
One of the big things here is Delta's 5-0. And if the Seraphine and the Karma keep Delta up, it's so hard to kill Delta.
Absolutely.
As long as they're making use of their lead on their tanks at this point in the game, they can funnel the gold onto the Cog, and Kenny can get into the position where he can do a lot of damage.
I mean, alternative option, right, is we see the 10-0 Sejuani going in with the full tank build, just kind of gradually hitting everybody to death on her boar.
I mean, that'll work until 40 minutes in when they get pen, but...
Yeah, well, you know, then we got, you know, another half hour to make this Kog'Maw finally come online with this tank build. But looks like we might be running into the last moments here for Camel Basil. The TP coming in bot lane, I feel like that is very short-sighted. The ulti comes down a little bit early. And another kill for Delta. Pulling in that 6-0 on the Sejuani.
All right, we got 4 more kills until the prophecy comes true.
Until the prophecy comes true, the boar... making its mission. Kog'Maw feeling that confident to just walk up on Paytime. Looks like it was worth it, though. Paytime's not getting the execution. Slops does pick up the kill. And now, way too far in, Beshi just completely stuck on the back there. And now there's the engage. I'm sure the Q's going to be coming up. Yes, there it is. And his Nautilus, of course, going to be able to disengage. He's Nautilus, but still getting a lot of damage down.
Just gonna keep on
You're never going to kill... You're never going to kill Sejuani in this situation, and the kill, finally, one gets funneled onto Kenny. And this game has broken wide open in favor of In the Trees.
Yeah, like, oh my god. Like, the Kog'Maw is barely a factor here. The biggest factor that Kog'Maw's putting in right now, honestly, is the enemy team is trying to dive past these uber-fed frontliners into the Cog. and ignoring the ones who are doing the damage, which actually happens to be the tanks right now.
Yeah. No, and then they have that level advantage. They have that massive amount of gold. We're going to see probably a huge buy from Delta here. Once that recall finishes up.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's going to be immediate. Oh, Force of Nature. I was thinking that it was going to go straight into the. What was that one item? Adaptive Helm. It wasn't adaptive.
No.
Yes, Abyssal
One of them
Mask.
got removed. One of them got removed.
Yeah, Adaptive Helm got removed. It was Abyssal Mask that stayed. I was thinking it was going to be Abyssal Mask for the extra damage, but yeah, Force of Nature is certainly not a bad pick.
Yeah, no, and we have the Seraphine finishing up the Moonstaff. Got Kog'Maw finishing up that Runeans. It's kind of a scary place to be. Steric Stone on the Renekton. Looks like we're trying to get anti-heal down from Karma.
Yeah, and these are some... and these are some crucial item breakpoints right before Cloud Soul.
Now, it's worth noting, Renekton has not channeled that TP yet, so there is still going to be a break here, where it is going to be 4v5 now. Still hasn't come in with great Seraphine ulti. TP into the middle of the backline. Two people on to the Kog'Maw, the whole of in the trees starts to come back, protect Kenny. And do they keep him alive there? No, not quite, but the Seraphine picking up the kills.
Yeah, and Renekton's doing so much work in this backline.
Yeah, Broccoli just being able to jump across everybody that's left, I guess just trying to throw it away from the dragon at this point. Flashes forward from Evolved
so
Noob.
Much CC.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and that's a flash out.
Yeah. And are they going to turn to dragon here? Don't know. Let's see. Mr. Replay. Kind of a fragmented fight that we had going on there. Because, like I said, kind of expecting the Renekton TP a little bit sooner. I was surprised at how much damage Delta took, given how ahead he is. Really doesn't feel like he should take that much. Seraphine, of course, tops him right back up. Back to full HP, basically. And they did a really good job of getting a lot of damage down before Kenny goes down. Of course, Slops takes the brunt of the focus.
Yeah, and Kenny and Wild, Paytime and Wild just diving right onto the backline onto Kenny. Yes, Kenny dies, but like we said earlier, so much of this damage is coming from the frontliners. So at this point, Cog being behind actually is kind of just a bait, because Cog is just not putting out the damage that's necessary to really focus them.
Yeah, and obviously keeping that Kog'Maw behind is going to keep them in the game for, an extended period of time. It's going to matter. Kog'Maw being behind is going to reduce the overall damage output. But if killing the Kog'Maw means that you have to let your Veigar go down to no HP and let your Kai'Sa die, then you haven't won the fight.
Then is it worth it?
Yeah. You could start running into issues where, your Nexus disappears, and then it doesn't matter how far behind the Kog'Maw is at 40 minutes, because we've been out of game for 20,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Sedge now 6-0, 4-2-0 on the Renekton. Cog 2-4-11, chilling out and enjoying life. That is
90-something% KP.
That is another null magic mantle onto Cog. He's just doing his best to try to stay unkillable, because he knows the enemy team is just going to continue to dive on top of him, and it has nothing to do with how tanky he is or how much damage he's doing. It's just, I see Cog, I want kill.
Yeah, it's funny. He has actually taken the advantage of Kog'Maw, of course, having that global taunt on these dive characters. Just they need to go and kill him, and they're not spending the time to maybe take the front to back fight, but I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can take these front-to-back fights, because obviously Kog'Maw's damage is very, very low right now. We were talking about that in comparison where you think he might be at 2.5 items, especially with the supporting characters that he has around him. But it's not nothing, and I think if you spend the time to try and kill that Renekton through the Seraphine, or if you try to kill the Sejuani through the Karma, Kog'Maw's damage is going to add up. It's going to start meaning something, and as a team, you do not have the sustain that this Moonstone Seraphine has, So it's a really difficult decision. You almost have to get a pick initially, and they just haven't had the jungle control to do that. So we see that's engage. Delta just going straight in on the halves, and then the engage from Broccoli, and again, Broccoli breaking up this fight, not letting them get any sort of damage onto the backline very, very quick. Now, Paytime on the back. Onto the back, he's just trying to hang out in the Shroud, trying to escape now, but Delta's already met him there. The triple kill from Kenny. Kind of convert onto Betty, quadra kill.
Wait,
and are we going to see this build that we've been talking down on all game, this Kog'Maw we've been talking down all game, do the impossible? It is stolen by Evolved Noob.
It's always the Seraphine players.
It's always the Seraphine
players.
And we will not have a pentakill, but we will have an ace. 5 for 0. Walk into Baron. Let's see how this one played out.
So, as we've been saying, Cog, I honestly don't think does too much damage at this point in the game. It's a Wit's End, it's a Runa's Hurricane, it's okay. Meanwhile, Delta, running right in, gets a good stun onto Halves, an ulti onto Camel Basil, and the Seraphine ult going through both of them means that there's so little that they can actually do in response. Paytime diving into the team here just doesn't really do any damage, and ends up dying in the end. And the quad, at this point, is just Team in the trees picking things up and finishing things off.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense to throw these scrap kills onto the Kog'Maw, because Kog'Maw's the one who needs them at this point. Everyone else is fed. This is the last link that they need to put together before this. Are they going to go to Baron? I hope that they go to Baron here. No, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. Yeah, onto the Baron. But yeah, no, putting those kills onto Kog'Maw, he's kind of the last piece of the puzzle for them. Obviously, Kog'Maw will do damage at some point. You know, he is Kog'Maw. He's got enough base damage in the kit. We got the Wit's End. Does have some attack speed. It's not going to be huge. See that 123 damage crit. I'm upset. But you know,
we'll see what this builds into. A Spirit Visage.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I shouldn't have given him the break. He almost got that pentakill. This is quite the build. I love this. This is absolutely. You're totally right.
A Spirit Visage into another Null Magic Mantle.
This is baiting Falcon to go for this Kog'Maw when there's nothing it's doing but tanking up your hits. It is literally functioning with a Galio W. Like, that's not much damage. You could turn around. You could turn around and one-shot it, except for, Kog'Maw's build doesn't really allow that. And there's the ulti burned. Oh, just some sloppy mistakes
TP.
now.
Like, that's a TP, that's an ulti, that's like multiple moves burned, and Kenny's at full health.
Kenny is at full HP, got that Spirit Visage, got that Karma, got that Seraphine. Like, his health bar doesn't look big enough for you to really register how tanky he is, but he's tanky. Look at how far forward he's just walking.
He actually is allowed a front line now.
And look at the free hitting. And see, that is a noticeable amount of damage, and we see that noticeable engage, but really, they're not too worried at this point. Great Sarah ulti, going all the way up to top lane there, connecting with Broccoli. The kills connecting onto all of the members of Falcon. They are gradually falling apart inside of their own base here. Delta, absolutely enormous, finishing off this. No, stolen by Kenny, and I don't see any way that they could lose this one. This game is going to be finished off. This series is going to be finished off. We're going to see in the trees, moving on to through the winner side of the bracket.
Oh boy, sending
Falcon down to losers. Unless we have the Nautilus 1v5. Do we have the Nautilus 1v5? The ulti comes in, big knock up. No, it doesn't look like it. Are we going to fountain dive? No, just going to be taking down the Nexus. Safe option from them. They're going to be moving on to the next round in winner side.
Yeah, and congrats to Industries. Congrats to Industries. They knew what they wanted to do. They realized what they could do to their opponents, and they absolutely made use of it.
I gotta pay respect. That Kog'Maw build did more damage than I thought it was going to be. You know, the damage really started to pick up after the Spirit Visage, which is not a sentence I will ever say again. But it was genuine, you know, like he was actually starting to tag for a little bit of damage there. Obviously, Haps wasn't ahead by any means. Didn't really have a lot of gold, couldn't really be that tanky. But, you know, it was still a notable amount of damage, but they had so much damage from their Renekton. The damage chart here says that we have no idea what was going on, which, you know. But no, I think Delta played phenomenally. I think he was really the reason why that game went the way that it did. What was it at the end there? 7-0, 8-0? Great stuff. And it just felt like really ran into some fatigue issues there from Falcon. They just didn't really know what they wanted to do. They had the Akali ahead, but they didn't get Vygar, and Kai'Sa pick didn't really make sense into Kog'Maw. Just better stamina, I think, from in the trees.
Yeah, you know, honestly, good stuff in the trees. Like, they had a solid comp. I think that not banning Set was kind of in, but then picking Renekton in order to discourage the Set, very good choice.
Nothing quite as in the trees, but in the trees is going to be moving on. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. This is our last game of the evening, and we will see you guys. I believe we're going to be moving into. We're doing an interview after this, and then clean up from there. Don't go anywhere.
Y'all take care.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Edgeworth. I'm here for the second interview of the day after a big, grueling 6-game day. I am joined by the coach of Team In the Trees, Popovai. How you feeling after the big win for your team? And let me double check. I got that name right?
Yeah, that's close enough. So we're feeling pretty good. We were a little uptight going into the series, to be honest. I think kind of reflected in our gameplay where weren't as outgoing as before. It was also probably because our shot caller decided to go eat Korean barbecue instead of shot calls, but that's okay. Overall, I think it was a good series. The not having all 3 bans the first game was a little bit rough, and I think that cost us. We kind of tried a couple different things, but at the end fell back more towards comfort.
Well, let's start a little bit with the draft prospects, as you alluded to. Bo hinting at on brand, for Team INT. But by not being there, so you have a sub here. You're in a playoff matchup. What was your thoughts on overall just prepping for this matchup and then going into the draft for each of these games when you have to sub out, and especially since you bring in the Bo special Sejuani in the last game. So what were your thoughts on the drafting for this matchup overall, the 3 games?
It was definitely a little bit rougher than usual because I wasn't as familiar with Delta's like strengths and weaknesses, because we're all like good friends and we play a decent amount with each other, but I just haven't played with him in a little bit. Overall, I felt like the first game we didn't have necessarily as usual as a style as we are used to, with more poke, and we weren't as aggressive, so we didn't actually poke and stuff like that. So second game we kind of fell back to something that we could go in with a little bit harder, maybe switch the carries up a little bit as well, because we just weren't feeling the Ezreal after game 1.
Now, on the note of the Ezreal, I want to ask you a little bit about Beshiwap brought out in the first 2 games the Draven, which did have a certain amount of success. What are your thoughts on just overall this pick? And I'll just be honest, like what are your thoughts on the fact that they thought they could pick this against you guys?
I mean, I think it was something we kind of expected because it's a traditional counter. We were kind of going off the fact that right now Draven's kind of in a weak spot. He's getting a pretty massive buff tomorrow, I think, and he desperately needs it, and we figured that we'd be happy to take the matchup because we could scale, and as long as we didn't get Draven too many kills, we'd both have 2 just normal damage carries, but he got a bit out of control and he was dominating the laning phase a bit more than we intended to. I think our support pick might have been a little bit too rushed for that, but it's okay. I think Draven is a really cool ADC, and I love it when people play him because it's just a different style and it shows off like mechanics more so than other picks, and just I guess some respect to Beshiwap for being able to pull it out like that. We thought we could take it. Clearly we had to move away from it after that though.
Yeah, I have to admit I am a big fan of Draven in the fact that it's like one of those champions that's like almost never a quote unquote good pick to pick, where it's just like when you pop off with Draven, not only does it feel so good, but it just like looks so good. And it, like you say, it's like it's a matter of like where's your positioning, how good are your mechanics, can you actually like pull off this champion? It's far less forgiving than a lot of the other hyper carry ADCs, especially given that its passive is unlike Kog'Maw's, which we've seen a lot of tonight, based entirely basically about it's inting and throw your corpse at them. It's like, dude, you gotta not die and just collect this cash, otherwise you're gonna miss out on a lot of value.
Yeah.
Now, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that after tomorrow, Dragon will be a lot more popular, hopefully, and we'll get to see some cool stuff with it. But right now, I thought that personally he was a bit weaker and that we could get away with it.
Now, I do want to ask you about a little bit of a more comedic moment, let's say, in this matchup. But watching the game as a coach, how was it watching the matchup where Camel Basil came to lane with no items?
Well, it was funny until my mid laner warded the side bush and proceeded to run it down, because if you're in Xin Zhao and you don't gank at level 2 there, you're out of your mind and that ward never sees you if you go behind them or in time. I think I thoroughly molded, to be honest. But
Yeah.
it worked out. Our jungler came to kind of help save the day a little bit, so at least the comms were better the second game, and I think we were a little bit more open towards going to it, and we had a little bit safer picks, so
Yeah.
it was good overall. But it was definitely stressful seeing a lot of just very basic things that
Yeah.
we've talked about all season happening.
If I'm remembering correctly, he did almost kill Camel Basil. Almost died to Evolve Noob in the mid lane, and just sort of was like running away. And I was like, "There's no way this guy doesn't all in this guy with the flash and like ignite and doesn't get this kill this early." And then just for funsies, like they just decide like, "Hey, let's go out and run over here for this crab." And Evolve Noob's just like, hey, I think these kills, these are for me, Chief. So that was really enjoyable.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a good rebound on what to do, and we came back from it. It wasn't that bad. We actually ended up being able to jungle them a little bit after that because of just decent vision and map awareness, and the stacks came up high after that for Kindred, and it definitely looked a lot better. I think there was maybe a couple times it could have been a bit more aggressive mid, and some of the ults were a bit rough, but overall I kind of feel like it worked out well in the end, and it's something that we were able to at least execute well enough. I don't know if it's something we'll definitely want to keep playing in the future, but it was a pick that we had in mind specifically for the Silas.
All right, well, let's move forward from today's matchup and look a little bit forward to the winners bracket matchup that you have ahead of you. I'll just be so bold as to say probably not the expected matchup going into today. But you do find yourself matching up against a victorious Blue Bayou Zoo. How are you feeling about what you saw in today's matchup, and just in general about your thoughts going into that matchup next week?
I was actually a bit surprised by the UB BBZ games because I felt that on one hand UB was able to definitely find some exploits, but then also BBZ was getting away with some drafts that to me at least seemed pretty common for their team, and I just don't know why they were allowed to get away with it in the first and last game. So it'll be interesting. It's an opponent we've scrimmed before a decent amount, we're pretty familiar with, and overall I think it'll be fun. I'm definitely more excited for it than I would have been if it was UB, because I feel like UB plays a pretty standard way, which has honestly worked out pretty well for them this season. But with BBZ, it's kind of like they're a little bit more vibrant, and I think their team has more personality, at least to me.
Yeah, it was it was pretty surprising to see that happen earlier for UB to drop these games, but there was it seemed very uncharacteristic the way that on both sides the way that UB was playing, but also on some of the plays that I feel like they let BBZ get away with, where that in the regular season they seem to be very good about punishing overreaches, or I guess it's more accurate to describe in the terms of their games, the teams that were trying to make those hero plays to get back in, and they were very extracting in the toll that teams might have to pay for trying to make those plays. So today's games were very interesting on that side of the bracket. I am really looking forward to seeing how INT matches up against BBZ coming into the winners matchup. Povavite, thank you so much for joining us this interview. Do you have any just final topics, any thoughts, any shout outs to your own team members maybe that you want to throw in here at the end before we step away?
Yeah, I don't know if I can watch my mid laner miss another Seraphine ult, even if that's what it takes to beat BBZ. I don't know why my top laner says he's doing great into a matchup and then getting solo kill first blooded. Yeah, I think my bot lane is just a bunch of liars as well, and I hope Bochuk's on his Korean barbecue, because if he's not around to shock call again, well, I'm certainly not being listened to.
Damn, putting them on blast. I mean, that, that's a little bit of what the coaching staff is here for. That's what we're about out here. So,
in all seriousness, I think
okay.
they did definitely evolve through the 3 games and throughout the season a good amount, and I'm glad that they are where they are, and it's been a bunch of fun. So, GG to FEC as well.
Exactly. GG to FEC, but also especially GGs to INT. That was especially when you're coming into your first matchup that can be so decisive for this bracket, and you're coming in with a sub because Bob is a dirty enter and going to get KBBQ. They can be taxing, but I think INT overall showed a lot of charisma here on the Rift. They were incredible today, rallying around having a sub. So I wish you guys luck in this winners bracket matchup against BBZ. Popavai, again, thank you so much for this interview. And folks, I do want to let everyone know we are going to, instead of having our usual evening lounge after the games, we're going to instead push that to a pre-game segment to refresh everyone before our heroic games next week. So on Tuesday of next week, we will be following up with a little bit of our lounge before we go to our games. We're looking to go live at about 4:15 PST for that. So tune in a little bit before next week's games as a reminder, a refresher of this week's excellent play from both BBZ and INT. And then we'll be getting ready for those other heroic matchups next week. Popavai, thank you so much for the interview. We'll be back on Friday for our Mythic matchups for the beginning of playoffs. So, folks, join us on Friday, 4:30 PST for those matchups. And we'll be back soon. So thank you so much for those of you that have stayed with us so late in this 6th match day. And we'll be back with Mythic coming up soon on Friday. And if you are ready to see the next round of the Heroic, you'll be joining us on next Tuesday for a little bit of the lounge matchup pre-game at 4:15. Thanks so much, everyone, and we'll see you on Friday.